If you believe that creativity means being the best version of yourself and setting your mind free, come join us at Communication Design.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Communication Design's Industry Sharing titled Life After Graduation. I'm Edwin, lecturer in Communication Design, and I'll be the host for this program. It's kind of cold out there, and I hope you had a good lunch. Stay tuned for those of you who are keen to find out about career options after graduating from Communication Design. And today we are very happy to have two of our alumni, Munira and Kertian, joining us as they share their experiences with you. Okay, these two are my pride and joy, and you see that they are actually doing very well in the industry. So they'll share what it's like to make a living doing what they love, design. And at the end of the presentation, we'll have a Q&A session. You can feel free to ask your questions in the chat column. Okay, right now, we'll have Munira. First, she'll go through her presentation. When I first taught her in School of Design, she was the first in class I went into, and I noticed her, her passion for illustration. And now she's doing very well in the industry, honing her skills as an illustrator and a designer. Okay, so we'll have her share. Munira, over to you.
I'm going to share with you what I've been doing for the past few years after I graduate. Yeah, so I'll go through some of the contents that I've prepped for this presentation, and yeah, let's go. Okay, so a little bit about myself. I'm Munira Malik, also known as Moon Malik. I'm an illustrator, graphic designer, and art director at the local agency, Studio 155. And basically, most of my work are inspired by pop culture, and some of the people that I look up to are Walt Disney, C.J. Henry, and Koval. But I mean, like, everybody will draw inspiration from other people. So these are a few that I actually look up to. And also, I worked throughout the years, about 6 years in the industry. I worked with local and international brands like Zouk Singapore and also Fredberry. So some of the recent works that I worked on as a freelancer and as a graphic designer, I painted a horse statue for Artbox, a festival last year, yeah. And I did a couple of murals for Jasco. It's a co-working space in Singapore, and also collaborated with artists in Taiwan. And also, I participated with, in a design festival with a fellow TP mate, Nidia Marisa, a photographer, to represent Singapore. And also, I also did a mural installation for the Singapore Fashion Awards in 2016, and I collaborated with a local designer for Met Gala 2016. Yeah. So here are my career timeline. So actually, I started school internship with CULT. So I will emphasize that going through internship properly is very important, because that's where you started your networking session with your colleagues and also your boss. And if you build a good relationship with them, you can actually help them in the future when you want to further your career in the same industry. So after that, I wasn't sure, after graduation, I wasn't sure if I want to continue university or continue to start working. So I actually did a self-initiated internship at Zouk, and I was there for 3 years. And surprisingly, like, about 6 or 8 designers in the group, right, is from TP. So all of us are from TP. So like the bond is there. Yeah, and then after that, after Zouk, I actually worked for Fredberry for almost 1 year plus. And then now I'm at Studio 155. From actually, this Studio 155, it's created by an ex creative director from Zoop and also ex head of marketing, Sophie and Sophie. So Sophie is creative director. She is from TP also. So yeah, so actually the industry got a lot of TP mates lah. Yeah. And so I will like share with you some of the works that I've done. So recently we did a mural for Adidas Singapore for their HQ, and also for their store at Pan Pacific Plaza. If you can go there and see the mural for yourself. Yeah. So we also did for Red Bull competition. We sent out like media invites to DJs to participate. So we have to entice them to participate. So we send like a real life size vinyl, and then we actually illustrated on it to make it more enticing. Yep. So at a glance, as a freelancer, so beside my day job, I'm also a freelancer to actually explore my explore my style. So how do I like explore my style? By experimenting and also like try different things. So at a glance, these are some of the clients that I work with. Yeah. So recently, I actually contributed 2 murals to our own design canteen. So if you join us, you can see this this year. It's located at the design canteen. So I was quite honored to create something for my school. Yeah. Yeah. So during circuit breaker, because during National Day, we couldn't actually celebrate, like go out and celebrate, right? So this company, they call Mural Art, they actually collaborated with NEC, National Art Council, to pick out 100 sites in Singapore, and picked out a place for you to actually talk about it through illustration. So I did obviously Zouk Singapore at the old Jiakim Street, because it has a lot of history. Yeah. So you can check out the other 99 sites around Singapore through their website. Yeah. So another recent artwork that I did is for Art Science Museum during Halloween last year. So basically, I have to interpret an old classic black and white movie. And this is what I created. So there was another former artist working on this project also. Yeah. Okay, so there's another exhibition that I actually worked on, which is quite exciting, was for Chinese New Year. And then I actually chose Chang'e, the moon goddess, for the Mooncake Festival, as my muse. And actually, they actually featured on a Malay newspaper talking about how I created this artwork and how do I learn a lot from the Chinese culture, even though I'm Malay and stuff like that. So it's quite a nice publicity and also quite fun. Yeah. So another exciting artwork that I did for last year, I worked with Cesari, which is a local singer in Singapore, and he wanted to launch an EP album. So I created an artwork for him. So it's one of the interesting projects that I did last year for Universal Music Singapore. Yeah, so this was what I was talking about. I was working on a horse statue. So basically a mural, but it's on a horse statue. So it's quite interesting because it's a different medium. This is how you learn as a creative over the years, because you will learn how to apply your skill, but on different mediums. And that's how you build yourself as an illustrator. Yeah. So this is one of the mural illustration that I did. It is situated at Marina Square, and you can see the whole thing at the top level. So you can have a look at the mural if you're at Marina Square. Yeah. And these are some of the posters that I worked on for Projector. Projector is an independent film, independent cinema located at Golden Mile, and they releases a lot of like posters, film posters, and like independent films there. So we have to create like a few posters to promote the film. So you can see there's Grease, there's the Shaun of the Dead and the Hot Fast. There's some a few examples lah. I work for them. Yeah. So in throughout the years, right, I also learned that collaboration is very important because you have to explore, like I said, explore different mediums, meet new people. It allows us to grow as a creative and to expand our creative knowledge. Also to share our experiences and to learn from one another. So one of the recent things that I did with a fellow TP mate, she is Liu Xian. She has her own studio called Studio HHF Zag. So she's the owner of a Cheongsam tailor shop. So basically, I created an artwork for her, and she printed it on fabric, and she actually did a collection based on the artworks. So she worked with other artists also. So it's quite interesting to see that in the future you can actually work with your fellow TP mate, but from different courses also. So I think it's a cool collaboration. So you can check her out for her New Year collection for CNY 2021. Yeah. So another collaboration I did is with my sister. She's a head chef at Nomad SG. So basically, she actually created some of the food, the whole collection of food. So I actually helped to illustrate some of the food for her menu. That's where illustrations and graphic design come in hand because you have to take the illustration and layout inside the menu. So there's a combination of illustration and graphic design. Yeah. And yeah, so another collaboration I did, so it's basically an adaptation of the long mural, but a shorter one, and adapted to Taiwan elements for Jasco Taiwan. So basically, for if you see in this mural, right, you can see like bubble tea. They are known for bubble tea, dim sum, some noodles and stuff like that. So this was quite interesting because I created the artwork and there's an artist who actually executed. So it was quite a nice experience lah, to see your artwork, but you're not there. You're in Singapore, but they help you execute. Yeah. And yeah, so another fun thing that I did a few years ago was going to Dubai with a fellow TP mate. She is Nidia Marisa. She's a photographer. She's also a graphic designer. So both of us went to Dubai to actually represent Singapore. So we meet other creatives from other countries and also learn a lot from one another, and also did a lot of, we exchanged a lot of knowledge and also learn how other people create their work and learn about their work ethics. So it's quite interesting. And I think it also widens my knowledge also as a creative. So apart from work and apart career, like working as a daytime graphic designer and also a freelancer at the side, I also like to actually spend my time on passion projects. Which basically passion projects are self-initiated projects which fuels your creativity outside of all these opportunities. So this is a project that you are willing to invest your time, your effort, your money, and it can be anything. If like you're interested in photography and like work something on photography, you can. If you like to do charity work, you can. So basically something that you're passionate about. Yeah. So actually I work, so me and my husband actually come up with a personal brand that we actually like kind of like passionate about. Just out of the blue, we just want to work on something together. And we actually come up with a few mediums that we work with. The interesting one, we actually work with a surfboard. We actually rebranded the surfboard and like from scratch. Not building the surfboard, but creating like coloring it and like make it like proper and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool. So we actually come up with a clothing line and a bag, tote bag also. So it's on hold now. Like we're gonna continue it after COVID situation ends, but we also don't know when. So yeah, but it's something that you wanna invest your time in lah. Yeah. So I think traits as a designer, when you life after graduation, I think these are the few things that you have to embody, because it's quite important, because it's not always about work, it's about how you are as a person. So always be a team player, because you're not working alone on a project. You are working with other people from other departments, and you have to depend on each other. Yeah. And I think it's always important to be curious, to experiment a lot, to explore a lot, because it helps you in the long run. Yeah. And also have patience. Patience is very important, because it really takes time to actually perfect your craft, because it will take quite a long time for you to actually learn like I told you, like experimenting and stuff like that. So you need a lot of patience, and don't be too hard on yourself. You will get there. Yeah. And lastly, collaborate. Collaboration is really important. It will help you in the long run too, because it's about networking and social skills also, and also like getting new friends and make new friends also. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Munira, for the sharing session. You know, I'm smiling and beaming with joy when I look at your work and creation. And we're just having a lunch catch up here at the canteen. So you can appreciate her artwork right there at the canteen. So it's such a beautiful piece of work. Okay, so I believe Munira never stopped growing since she graduated from TP, from the work that she has shown you guys. Yeah, great pieces of work. Very quickly, we have to move on to Ke Tian. Ke Tian will be the next presenter. So Ke Tian is one of my care group, or in my care group when he was here during year one. So I was his care person for 3 years. I've seen him grown as a freshman, year one all the way to year 3, and then now in the industry. So you can see that he's now in an advertising agency working as an art director, and you can see what he has done, and what kind of the job role that he's doing at the moment. So I'll pass it on over to Ke Tian to do his sharing.
Hi, thank you, Evan. First, I would like to also thank Munira for that wonderful presentation. I think it was very inspiring for me, and I'm sure the same goes for a lot of those watching online. So to begin, good afternoon, everyone. Today I'll be talking about the same topic of life after graduation and what's next. So my name is Ke Tian, and I'm from the batch of 2014, majoring in communication design. Okay. Now, for a lot of us that were interested in design, we are not always sure where to begin, right? Especially for me, coming to communication design, am I going to be doing art? Is design just about art? Like, what is it all about? So, I guess to simply really put it, it's really about using many different mediums to deliver design and information through print, craft, electronic media, or presentations to communicate with people. All right. So, and that was really how like year one in communication design was like for me. We were trained in multidisciplinary creative mediums, which meant anything from graphic design to illustrations, photography, web design, and typography, and the list goes on. And all of these mediums were interesting to me because before this, I've always thought of design, just being graphic design. Creating awesome visuals, but I never really understood how these disciplines were so important and on its own independently. So this was really cool, right? And following up in year two, I actually made the decision to specialize in integrated design. So this meant doing digital design, motion graphics, advertising campaigns with digital elements. And, there was also an overseas trip during my time in school. And that was really exciting because we got to see how the world of design is really like in a foreign environment through our perspective of what was taught in school. And so you really start to be able to piece the puzzles together, and that exposed us to what design could be like somewhere else. So finally, in our third year, it comprises of industry studio projects. So this meant visiting the creative industry to really see how it's like to work in an agency, and also the opportunity to work on a live brief. And I think this was really cool because you begin to think of strategies and solutions that the school has taught you to approach these briefs and have essentially creatively solved them, right? So this gives me a little bit of confidence from my internship. And then, of course, we have our final year project. So for the uninitiated, this will be the project that you will begin to prove yourself that whatever you have learned in the 3 years is in your control, and how you express that through this project is how you can take ownership of your creative knowledge and skills. So what's next? Getting a job, right? So in the creative industry, there's a lot of roles out there for you to choose. There's graphic designers, photographers, art directors, UI UX designers, copywriters, illustrators, and in-house designers. For me, I ended up becoming an art director. Okay, so it's been about a year now in an advertising agency called McCann World Group. That's where I'm currently working at right now. And I'll just like to share what really inspired me when I was in McCann. So the client was, the National Council of Social Services, and it was essentially an awareness piece about mental health in Singapore and how it aimed to raise the awareness of the public on the stigma that goes around this sensitive topic. So with an ask like that from the client, I was really taken aback by how the agency was able to take that and turn it into a campaign. So with that said, I'd like to show you all a clip from the campaign.
You can be born perfectly rich, have a very good lifestyle, have parents who care very well for you. I don't think mental health issues discriminate against anyone of any race, gender, or social background.
Hi, nice to meet you. Please have a seat.
My name is Nicole. I'll be your moderator for this discussion.
I'm Nicholas. Today, I'm going to ask you a few questions about mental health in Singapore. What do you know about mental illness?
I just know there's depression.
How do you say that? Bipolar disorder.
The wire short circuit,
This guy's crazy, all these kind of words.
There's nothing to
Would you hire somebody with mental health condition?
I'll probably, make them work in a, admin side.
Shipper, cleaner, or some simple job for them.
Either they hurt themselves or they're going to hurt someone else. Then if you're mental illness, you apply for a job. But who in the right sense will really want to take you?
Would you date somebody who has a mental health condition?
Some of them will get quite manipulative. They'd say like, if you break up with me, I'll cut myself or I'll kill myself.
And then sometimes they tend to post unreasonable things, such as like a small thing that happened, and then they'll make a big fuss out of it.
I cannot handle. I don't know how to handle.
How would you react to, a friend or family member who's diagnosed with mental illness?
The bridging needs to be the family and not a stranger.
我们不是专业医生，我们可能处理不了。
If possible, I will just stay away as far as possible.
这个笑诶，最好是不要靠近他。
I didn't introduce myself fully. I suffer from clinical depression.
I was clinically diagnosed with depression. I'm living in recovery.
And I overcame it. I wrote a letter that I would like you to read out to me aloud.
"12 years is a long time to live with a mental health condition.
In the 12 years that I've been diagnosed with depression,
This is what I've learned.
I've learned that the greatest battles we fight are the ones with ourselves.
I've learned that most conversation about employment end the moment I review my diagnosis.
I've learned that shame is something society teaches you.
I've learned how to say sorry for showing symptoms of my condition.
I've learned that friends can disappear, and I will never hear from them again.
I've learned that family doesn't always know how to support you, no matter how much you need them.
I've learned that hope is a little voice that whispers maybe.
I've learned that recovery is a process.
I've learned that one small crack doesn't mean I'm broken.
I've learned that I have an illness, but this illness is not my identity.
So sorry that you have to go through this.
I'm so
Do you have any questions you want to ask me?
All right, cool. So after watching that clip, I think, for me, it struck me that the work we do creatively can be meaningful and have an impact on society to encourage change in our local context, right? And for me, being a creative, that set a new foundation to aspire for. So moving on to our recent works. Okay. Right. So I'm sure we all fully understand how COVID-19 really affected us when it came, right? So we collaborated with the government to play our part in helping Singaporeans this period. So for a lot of people, I think job security became, uncertain, and many faced the risk of losing their jobs or have their incomes reduced. And also to a handful, their psychological well-being was being affected as well, right? So, during the circuit breaker period, we actually had an aim to provide up to $2,900 worth of financial assistance to those whose employment was affected. And to reach out, to as many Singaporeans as possible, we had different grants available, such as Temporary Relief Fund, the Support Grant, Encourage Fund for lower income households, okay? So on top of that, we also launched a 24-hour national care hotline that included other specialized hotlines with about 500 psychologists, counselors, and social workers, professionally trained to offer mental health support during COVID-19. And so the results was since 1st April, 2020, a total of 594,206 applications have been made, and we've successfully supported over about 500,000 people financially and counting. So for psychological support, the National Care Hotline has received over 22,000 calls with 300 calls a day. Okay. So as Singapore progressively embarked on a three-phase approach to safely reopen economic activities post-circuit breaker, we actually aim to educate the public on the transition to the new normal. So we've actually launched out-of-home print ads, as you see in this in the presentations, right? And at about 200 bus stops and 9 different MRT stations nationwide, on how we can each do our part to keep ourselves, the community, and Singapore safe in various settings. So to further engage a larger demographic, we've also reached out to social media platforms like Facebook and all the way to Instagram, okay? So moving along, so on this slide, I'd like to present to you all the TV commercial that the team has produced.
It's nice easing back into old routines only now with extra care. Let's do it for ourselves, for our loved ones, for everyone's safety.
Hurry up, let's go. Let's go.
And staying safe starts at home.
Nice.
From how we work and learn, to the little ways we find joy. If you must head out, take extra care. Making a small effort, being mindful, they go a long way to keeping us all safe. The health of all depends on each one of us. So let's work together using new tools and keeping on new habits to protect the people we love. At work, let's all be good team players.
Hi, good morning. How are you? Good.
A little distance between us today will be good for us all tomorrow. A little care can protect the one thing that means the world to us. So let's do our part.
All right, cool. So, that was really how a full campaign can look like. And, for me, it was really meaningful to have played my part to help Singapore through this period, as it made an impact that you could really see. I think this really goes aligned with what McCann stands for as well, to help brands play a meaningful role in people's lives. Moving on to the next slide. Of course, there has been, I've also been a part of many different projects that included brands like Nespresso, Purina, and for government clients like Community Chest, MCI, and NCSS, right? So moving along. So being, in the creative industry, it's not always about work, right? Sometimes it's about giving back to the community. And I was fortunate enough to be in the position that I am, to participate in a school outreach program with Temasek Poly. Just like how I mentioned earlier during the presentation on industry studio projects, it just so happened that I am now sitting on the other side and giving back what I know to the students that are part of the program. Okay, so here you see the faces of the groups that participated, right? And because of COVID-19, sadly, we were only able to do a virtual meeting through Microsoft Teams, but eventually we made it work. And they had to take on a live brief from one of our clients, NCSS, and tackled the challenges and obstacles they faced to come up with a campaign to be presented for real, right? So these are just some of the amazing works that they had done over the course of a month or two. So yeah, as you can see, it's really cool to be a part of a program like this. And so for me, I guess to really end off my presentation here, I think, being a student in TP has really played a huge part in my growth as a creative. And I hope with programs such as this, it continues to inspire younger creatives moving forward. And that's the end of my presentation. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Kertian, for the sharing. You can see how your work as a designer, and in this case, an art director, can be very meaningful and fulfilling. It can really create an impact for the wider community. So again, I'm just smiling while I watch Kertian's presentation. I'm so proud of him. Thank you once again, both Munira and Kertian. It's such a joy to see what you've done and achieved in the industry. I hope this sharing will give you some insights on what to expect if you were to graduate from communication design. And I hope you have some questions for them. They can answer anything from school life and after graduation. And we can now move on to the Q&A session. So feel free to type in your questions in the comment section, and we'll take on your questions. Okay. Let's see. Perhaps we can. Actually, I have a lot of questions for Munira and Ke-Tian. But while we wait for questions from you guys, maybe I'll start by asking them a couple of questions. So maybe we can start with Ke-Tian. Actually, okay, both of them can answer this question. So you realize that both of them didn't further their studies after graduation. They actually went right into the industry, securing a job. Perhaps Ke-Tian, you can share first the reason why you chose to work immediately after graduation, or rather after NS, right?
Right, sure. I think for me, going to university to continue my studies was definitely an option that I was really considering, because doing design is really fun for me, right? And I definitely want to educate myself, in that, having more creative knowledge. But I thought to myself, having a real experience in the industry out there, I personally I relate to that a little bit more, because I think it can help me to gain a little bit more of a practical experience, and that's why I chose to go for working immediately after I graduate instead, because I felt that it could help me in this area, and also because I have to do my national service, so spend a lot of those time thinking about what I can do next. So yeah.
Okay, Munira, you have answer to the question.
Working and gaining experience at the same time. So you make money and you gain experience at the same time. So I think it's a win-win situation. But I think it's also, if you want to go the other route, which is to go to further your studies, also it will be a very good thing, because you have your cert and also you learn more things also. But I think there's no right or wrong way to do. Like if you want to continue studying or you just want to start working. So it really depends on you and your path and what you have done in your career. Yeah. That answers your question, Edwin? Yeah?
Yep. Okay. I hope this answers will help our viewers understand more about life after graduation. Because this is one of the questions that we always get from students when they graduate. Okay, so we have one question coming in. Maybe this question is directed to Ke-Tian. What can I do to become an art director? And what qualities and skills must I have?
Cool. That's a very interesting question. I guess for me, I think having a background in TP communication design here, of course, it really helped a lot. Having to be able to train my eye for to be able to notice visual, all these visual graphics, right? Creating art themes, understanding how as in a full campaign, how can an art direction be consistent throughout an entire ad campaign, for example, and all of these skills, I think it was really taught to me in school. So when you're asking about the qualities and skills that you have to have, I think objectively you definitely need to have your craft settled down, right? So skills in Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, and things like that. But the more like I would say like the quality that you should have is definitely to have the constant curiosity to always be able to learn new things and open your mind and always be creative. It's being a design, as a creative in designer or an art director, it's not always about coming up with the best visual graphics. It's not always about coming up with the best graphics, right, or visual. Sometimes it's really about being creative in how you present them. So yeah, I think that's my answer to that question.
Okay, thank you, Katian. I hope that answers your question. So we're going to jump right into the next question. Perhaps Munira can take that question. So is work experience a more sensible thing to do after the diploma before the degree? Is it to help make a portfolio? Is it making yourself known in the creative industry? Munira, over to you.
Okay. Oh, that's a very good question. I guess, like I said just now, I think it really depends on what you want in the future, what's your career path. But personally, I think having work experience is much more important because it teaches you how to handle real life situations with real clients and also to start building your portfolio from the start. So if you are able to start from something small, like some small freelance, example, a freelance job, right? You do it on your own. You learn to be independent and to be self-reliant. So when you are in an industry in the future, you can actually be an independent learner and worker, but also have to be a team player also. So I think creating your portfolio after graduation would be an ideal thing. But if you want to continue, if you want to start studying after that, also can. There's no right or wrong answer. So yeah. So I think in the future, if you really want to work, I think you find a company or agency that you are passionate about. So so for me, like based on my experience, I was passionate about Zouk, not because of the clubbing scene, but because of the graphic work that they actually did with the campaigns and the they used to have pamphlets. They used to give out free pamphlets and stickers and stuff like that. So there are some of the collaterals that the club was giving out. So I was interested in that, and yeah, style was pretty on point because they actually integrated music, art, pop culture together. So I think that was the best fit for me when I started working after graduation. Yeah.
Thank you, Munira. So actually, for our graduates, the tutors actually kind of help a lot of the students to kind of understand the industry a little bit better. We do have consultations with tutors and we'll advise based on kind of their work and also based on their needs. So you'll find out more if you kind of join the course and will advise accordingly. So we'll answer another question coming in. How did you manage to get a job in a big agency like McCann? So this question is for Katian. You want to answer that question?
Cool. Yeah. So how did I get myself in the big agency like McCann? Well, I think there was a lot of similarities I share with what Munira was talking about, which is to be able to network, right? And I guess for me, I am also pretty lucky. I would consider that, and I think I spent a lot of my time during army to prepare myself as well for a moment like this. So I think, the school, one of the lecturers here, they actually presented an opportunity for me. It was a portfolio night event that actually had all the local creative directors from the creative industry to come down this one night, and we had to show off our works to them. And I was lucky enough that somebody took notice of my work and wanted to bring me into the company. So to answer the question, that was how I got into McCann. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Katian. We'll jump into the next question. Perhaps this is directed to Munira. How competitive is it for the newcomers in the industry? How does a freelancer get more opportunities?
Okay. Actually, it's very competitive outside. It's really competitive. So one advice I can give to you is to find your own voice, because when you find your own voice and your own personality and style, people will actually go to you for that particular thing. They can actually hire another person, but because you have that interesting portfolio or interesting style, right, they actually go to you. So basically, like I say, networking is really important. and that's how I get all the freelance jobs. Like I was offered these freelance jobs, and also building that good relationship with your client after the project is done is another way also, because they can help you. They can actually recommend you for other projects and for other clients also. So it's pretty important. Networking is important, and also it also helps your social skills also, because when you meet more people, you're able to gauge how the industry works and stuff like that. But most importantly, also to perfect your craft over time. Like I say, you need patience to actually perfect your skills. So so I think we should, I mean, like for creatives like us, we should actually continue growing and learning so we can be relevant to the industry for a very long time. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We are kind of running out of time, so we'll take one last question. Actually, this is a question from me. What advice do you have for someone thinking about joining this course? I think both of you can take the question.
Sure, I could go first. For me, I think if you're thinking about joining this course, you know, if it's on your mind, you know, you've already been thinking about joining this course, you know, since secondary school days or whatnot, you know, come ahead and give it a try, because similar to myself, when I came into the course, I had zero clue of what was about to happen. But you know, as I mentioned earlier in my presentation, you know, in the year 1 and the year 2 and the year 3, those modules, you know, really helps to drive you forward and inspire you as a creative, because especially during the first year where the basics of design was taught, you know, there was so many different mediums, right, that you could get into, you know, typography, illustration, photography, and web design, and all these things. And all these things are super interesting for a creative to be able to be put in a place like this with a lot of people who think the same way as you do. So I would, you know, highly suggest, if you're already thinking about joining this course, yeah, go ahead and give it a shot. And yeah, you might find something you like.
So for me, I think firstly, I heard, like, when I actually received my result, I heard that TP has the best design school. And I live in the West, and there's a lot of polys with design courses also. But I chose TP because I heard it's the best. I live in the West, so I have to travel all the way to the East to study. But basically, I think it's all worth it, because I actually learn a lot. That's very important. I also make like longtime friends from with my classmates and stuff like that. So it's another networking session with your friend also. But I think most importantly, I think TP offers a lot of like different mediums that you can learn, different like illustration, graphic design, photography, and even like Cinema 4D. That's a new thing that you guys can learn. So I think it's quite interesting. I think the new system they have here is quite interesting, because I didn't get to experience it, because it's a new, they actually integrate everything together. So I think if you were actually to join this course and graduate, I think you have more opportunities out there and different mediums you can work with. So it's very interesting. So yeah, join us. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Mira and Kertian. So we're coming to an end to the program. I hope you do get a good idea of what you will do, what's the potential that you can be once you go through the training here at Communication Design. Actually, Munira is right. We are the only school that won 4 years in a row for Crowbars Institution of the Year. So yeah, I think we are the best design school. So come join us. Okay. So do join us again at 3 p.m. for another segment brought to you by Communication Design. You'll learn how to do bookbinding. Okay. Then it's conducted by one of my colleagues, Brian. So see you then. Okay. Oh, I have one more question coming in. Maybe okay, we can take one more question. Okay. Okay. So did you ever consider what's the private art colleges like NAFA or LaSalle for the diploma course? Yeah, I think I can allow either of you to answer that question. Maybe Kertian want to go.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I could answer this question. I think, yeah, I definitely have considered, the private art colleges such as NAFA and LaSalle. But I think, at the end of the day, I think, all these three institutions, they provide, they provide, a very good platform for learning how to do design, right? But I think, I relate a little bit to what Minera mentioned as well earlier, that TP was, apparently one of the best. And at the point in time, also, it was also about proximity for me. I live very close to the school, and that was one of my consideration at the time. So, I happened to join into TP, and yeah, I didn't regret it. But I do think that NAFA and LaSalle are also available outlets if the creatives, if you choose to enter those. But TP does offer, a much more, as you can see, the whole module, the whole semester that I've described early on in my presentation. For me, that's more relatable. So that's my answer. Yeah.
Okay, Munira, maybe you can answer the question regarding the plus points for TP over the other private colleges. Just last question.
Okay, I think, there's other schools also, but my cousins, they go to other schools, art schools, but I chose TP because, like, I say TP is the best one because we have different curriculums, and I see that they are also doing well, but I want to explore a different territory. So I was like, okay, never mind. Maybe I'm the first one to go to TP Design, and it actually works for me. So, but you can also check out other, like, whichever school that is appropriate for you. But for me, I think I think TP is the best lah for me. So yeah, I make new friends there. Yeah, long-time friends. Yeah. And yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Let me see whether we have any more last questions coming in. So for any more queries about the course curriculum, I think it would be good if you are thinking about choosing a design school. Do check out and compare the different subjects and curriculum. Do make that informed choice as to what you really want to achieve out of the course. Also look at the kind of work the school produces. So at Communication Design, you can see a lot of our work being posted. You can also look for our Instagram account. We usually share our our award winners and then some of the work that the student do, right? Okay, I think that's if there's no more questions, I think we'll end the session right now. Thank you so much once again, Munira and Kertian, and for coming down to for this sharing session. Okay, so I think we'll call it a day for this session. Okay, so once again, do join us at 3 p.m. for the other session from Communication Design. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Design inspiration can be found everywhere, from the green paradise at the backyard of Temasek Polytechnic to the canvas of a white wall. Hello and welcome to Communication Design. I'm your host, Eng Kayan. Let me guide you through what the Communication Design course is all about. Let's go! Before you build anything, you need a good foundation. That's why in your first year, you'll cover basic foundation subjects like typography, layout, and web design. You also go through the software skills of Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign. In our very own tactile room,
You'll have hands-on experience in creating 3D artworks and doing fun silk screening onto t-shirts and tote bags. At the end of the first year, you apply everything you've learned in a studio project.
You get to do presentations which will train you to be more confident in your communication. In your second year, you'll sharpen your skills in both the technical and creative aspects of advertising, cinema 4D, and branding strategies.
Finally, when you get to year 3, you'll have the chance to pitch your creative ideas to real clients from the industry in a module called Industry Studio Project. You will work on several briefs with a very short turnaround time. This mimics the vigorous deadlines and pace of the creative industry. You will then go for your student internship program, where you will intern at a company of your choice and get a chance to experience firsthand how the industry works. When you come back to school after 4 months of internship, you will be ready for the final stretch in communication design.
During your final year project, you'll be able to create a body of work that showcases your 3 years of learning. It'll be a project that you'll be proud to put on your portfolio.
I know it might seem like a lot to process, but don't worry. In communication design, the lecturers are passionate mentors with many years in the industry, and they will be there with you every step of the way in your learning journey. With training, internships, and study trips, you get a well-rounded educational experience. Being acknowledged for your hard work is one thing, but to be recognized with an award is humbling and an honor. The Crowbar Awards has been a leading award show for emerging creatives to showcase their best ideas. Always striving to be the best, we have produced the most awards from the Crowbar design competitions. The winners have gone on to make big footprints in the design industry. Apart from the Crowbar design competition, we also actively participate in the Yellow Pencil as well as the D&D New Blood Awards. This is to ensure our students get the best experience and exposure.
If you believe that creativity means being the best version of yourself and setting your mind free, come join us at Communication Design! Woo!